Hello and welcome to the T3 Handicapping YouTube channel. I am Chris from T3 Handicapping, and we are here to bring you the final update from the Bet Laboratory on our Winogram betting strategy. It is a little earlier than I was intending to come on tonight, but we have some weather in the area here that's slowing down some internet connections, and so I want to make sure that I could get this out before anything major hit and potentially knocked me offline. So let's go ahead and let's jump into it and see how the Winogram fared here on our final day. So as I've mentioned before, if you've been following this series, the whole purpose of this Bet Laboratory YouTube series is to help you become a better bettor. It's to eliminate the phrase, well, I'm a good handicapper, but I'm just not very good at betting. We're going to be devoted to looking at various bet strategies and seeing how they perform over extended periods of time. These aren't one-day samples. We're taking several race cards over several days and really putting them to the test. Now, T3 Handicapping is about handicapping, and so there's lots of different ways you can get in touch with us regarding our picks and some of this bet stuff as well. So the first one is t3handicapping.weebly.com. You can go there, get all of our picks for free. That includes picks grids, that includes race summaries, and all of the stuff that comes with it. So you go to our website, go to the Daily Picks blog, and you can get access to all of our picks and full breakdowns of all the races. You've obviously found us here on YouTube, so you can go ahead and like and subscribe right here on YouTube. Then make sure you'll get access to all of our content, and when we have to call an audible because of weather and have to go on at 6:25 instead of 8 Central, you get notified of that and you can jump on and not miss a thing. So make sure you like and subscribe here on YouTube. Facebook, T3 Handicapping Horse Racing, you can like us and follow us on there, and then at Twitter at Handicapping T3. So lots of ways to get involved. One of the ways that I would really encourage you to get involved is either through the comments here on YouTube or on our Facebook page or via Twitter. Shoot me a message and let me know what kinds of bets would you like to see tested in the Bet Laboratory. Maybe you're a pick 3 player. That's one of the ones we'll be looking at next, but maybe you're more of a trifecta player. You want to get better at the trifecta. Let me know if there's any specific bet types that you want me to explore different betting strategies, or if you have any ideas of just betting strategies in general that you've tried or heard about that you'd like to see go through the Bet Laboratory. So please feel free to reach out. I want this to be a learning experience for all, and so if you've got anything that you want to see tested, reach out to us, and I'd be happy to try and run that through our testing process. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at our Winogram. This will be our last update. This is I actually think this is episode 5 now that we're on, not episode 4 of the Winogram Horses Bankroll, right? We've got the two triangles side by side. Essentially, your strongest opinions go at the top. That's 20% of your opinions, and you use 50% of your bankroll. So small opinions that you're strong on, right? Small number but big opinions are up here with the most of your bankroll. Moderate opinions with moderate bankroll, and then weak opinions with smallest part of your bankroll. Makes sense. If you want more detail on this, go back and watch the first video in the series. I go into it in a lot more detail. Now, today in practice, this was the last day. I did 2 tracks. I did Belmont and Churchill on Memorial Day, 5:30. Here you can see what we ended up doing. I ended up only playing $25 at Belmont today. I had scheduled to spend $50. I did not end up doing that, and the reason was pretty simple. We had 9 races carded, or 10 races carded, and when I look at my breakdown here, I keep track of how many races that I would use in each situation. So on a 10-race card, I would usually use 5 races down here, sometimes 4 if I have an alternate up here. So 10, I would have gone 5-3-2, but I didn't feel there was any value here. So I basically just said, I'm going to eliminate the first race altogether. I'm just going to pretend it doesn't even exist. And then I'm just going to treat this like a 9-race card, which means 5, 3, or 4 and 3 plus 1 as an alternate, and then 1 up at the top, because that's what a 9-race breakdown would be using the 50-30-20 scale. So as I go here, this was sort of the breakdown of the day. Obviously, I always play all of these. I did have a strong opinion that Rotney down here in race 8 would be my top opinion. In fact, I almost moved him up into this overlay category. And so I wanted to mimic this type of bet as much as I could on Rodney because I really felt like as a 5-to-1 shot on the morning line that he was in with a big play. So you can see I redistributed my $10 a little differently today. Instead of going, just 2-2-2 or 2-3-2-3, I decided to just make everything a $2 bet except for Rodney, who I thought would win. I put a $4 win, and I was rewarded. He did end up winning, paying 19.20 on a $4 win bet. Uh, in the overlay situation up here, race 4 I lost. I did have an overlay there, so I was able to play that race. In race number 5, the number 8 won. I would take him as low as 2-to-1. I think he went off at maybe as high as 7-to-2. I can't remember offhand. $5 winner anyway, paid out $21.75, which left me profitable because I ended up playing these two for $5 each. So that was $10, and then I played all of this. Oh, and then I did end up playing the alternate because in the last race, the 11 horse did go off. Was scheduled. I use the DRF projected numbers a lot of times to establish what the horse will go off at, and that had it at 4-to-1. It did end up taking a click down to 3.5-to-1 and ended up losing that race. But nevertheless, the projection was at 4-to-1, and so I took the chance there. So I ended up only spending 25. Race 7, I was going to play the number 2 horse in that race, but one of the things that I've always said is, and I'm trying to get more disciplined with this, is not within a point, but like for real, if the horse is going to be even a click below even money, I don't want to play it, because the whole purpose of this top rung is that you automatically make up all your money if the horse wins. And the horse clicked down to like 4-to-5 in the moments just before the race, and it was just too short for me, so I ended up just not playing that, and that's where I got my $25 back. So I ended up only playing $25, and as you can see today at Belmont, we came out ahead $15.95, so another good day. Churchill was a much different story. Churchill, we had a really horrible day at Churchill. It was only one victory, and that came on the race number 4, the number 2 horse, who came in for the victory. My $5 win paid out $21.50. I was able to save money here on my overlay contenders because both the number 8 in race 6 and the number 3 in race 8 were both underlays on that. Sconson was the 3 in race 8. He ended up winning quite easily and just embarrassed the field. I didn't have a single long shot win today, and most crushing was the run by the number 11 in race 9. It was a turf marathon. The 11 looked like much the best horse, got way out on the lead, opened up, and then just at the end ran out of gas and was passed quite easily by a late running foe. But those two were well clear. So I still feel good about the opinion. I'm disappointed by the result, but I was close. The 11 looked much the best, kind of was, swatting off challengers at different points in the race. I would have liked to have seen the horse able to carry the distance. I thought would be able to, but in the final strides, just got beat by a late charging outside running horse that got the job done. It says 5:28 over here, by the way. This is 5:30. I just did not update the date over there. So all in all, when you consider the 2 horses that I couldn't play because they were underlays, I ended up spending 40 and I ended up losing 18.50 with just 1 win at 21.50. So a little bit of a loss there at Churchill today. And you can see here after my 5-day experiment, basically, here's where I ended up track by track. Obviously, Gulfstream and Belmont were extremely good to me, yielding over $100 returns. Churchill was still profitable, yielding a $28.60 return. Horseshoe Indianapolis, I was going to try and play that one again today. They did have some runners on Memorial Day, but the more I went through the card, the more I struggled to find a horse that I actually liked, let alone one that I could make my top selection, and so I just ended up not playing. So I finished this experiment minus $51 there. Now, I'm going to keep trying there. I think I have to fine-tune my handicapping at Indianapolis. It's still early in that meet. That meet is a marathon, so there's still a little bit of goofiness in terms of trying to pick up on some of the trends and what's happening there. But I think we can improve that bottom line as that meet progresses. But I'm really happy with where we're sitting at the other meets so far. This is definitely something that I'm going to continue to use. You can see here, I've got my trends, my profit day by day. So on 525, we were negative 38.50. Over the course of the 5-day experiment, that was our worst profit line, losing 38.50. But nevertheless, even hitting one winner kind of helped get me up a little bit in there so that it wasn't a full minus 50. On 526, I came out $20 ahead. By far my best day was 527, which was 174.05, and then I came back down on 528, 63.30 on that day. I went out to the track. I was out at Canterbury on 529, so I just didn't follow this as much. It was more just a fun outing with friends. And then minus 255 on the day today, 530. Now, one of the things I think is interesting is if you take this back, Monday, Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. So one of the things that I do want to continue to explore with this is, would my weekly graph look the same? Is there something about me being able to pick winners on Friday that would make it consistently my peak day? If it does, there's no reason for me to play horses on Wednesday. I might as well wait until I can find something better here on Friday and Saturday, when maybe you have your better horses running and you're ready to make a big play there. So that's just some observations there, and something that you might want to think about as you are betting as well. Final findings. So this was kind of our last official day here of this particular system. Looks like we are having some technical issues here. Skies are getting darker, so I'm not surprised that that is happening here. My final findings at this time are as follows, and hopefully we can get things caught up here. Looks like things are good on my streaming service, so we will just try and hope that YouTube can pick up the gaps here. If this totally doesn't work, if we lose a bunch of the video from this, I will go back and just re-record it. But I think we'll be okay. So final findings, just a reminder, this is a win bet type. My overall success, I actually didn't pick winners at that high of a level. I was only 25 for 79 over the course of the experiment. That came in at a roughly 32% win percentage, which is okay. The difference was I wasn't just picking favorites, right? So even though I was hitting at about the same rate as just picking the favorites, I was hitting some longer shots on the board. So overall, I actually don't think that that's all that bad of a I don't think that's overall a bad return. You can see that over the course of the 5-day experiment, I wagered $450 and I returned $667.10. That's a $217.10 return. My ROI ended up being 1.48 times investment. So overall, I mean, profitable for sure, and something that seemed very sustainable and like something that I could easily make work, especially on a modest budget. I think this is a really great way to extend your bankroll a lot further. Moving on here, as some things to consider. So, if you're going to take this strategy and you're going to make this sort of how you operate with win betting, here are some things to consider. This is not a high ROI strategy in general, so you're going to kind of like nickel and dime your way through this. You're going to have days where you're down a little bit. You're going to have days where you're up a little bit. You're not going to just crush and have these massive days where you're just destroying. Now, if you get on a roll with your top selection and you're hitting top picks at 3-1 and 4-1, you could get on a really nice run, but I would definitely recommend this as a much more of a grinding strategy. You're going to play daily and you need to extend your money day over day. This is a great way to just kind of nickel and dime a profit away. This is a bet that I would strongly recommend if you're hyper-focused on a track. When I was most successful, it was when my long shots were hitting, when I knew how to pick long shots. And I think that's something where if you know how a track plays, or you know a jockey that can get in long price horses, those types of things, that's where you're going to improve your ROI on this strategy. So if you're going to play Belterra Park for the first time, because they've got a stakes race coming up this week, I don't know that this would be a great strategy to utilize there, because you're not going to necessarily know which ponds to fish for the long shot, or how to go in and find that, that long price horse that can really be effective. So I would recommend whatever track you tend to focus on, whether it be the Naira Circuit or Gulfstream or Indiana, or even Fauner Park or whatever. Like, you can be at a small track, but you got to know how to identify long shots if you're going to make this really work for you. And that's where I think we saw the biggest success at places like Gulfstream and Belmont. I find longer shots there typically better than I do at like Horseshoe Indianapolis. Horseshoe, I tend to find the favorites when they're there, but the really long price horses I tend to miss on. The other thing that I will say that this was really good for me with was, you must use professional discernment when you're doing this. So you have to be keenly aware of what you think fair value is on your overlaid contenders. And if you think that a horse is value at 7-2, and they're going off at 5-2, you have to be able to say, like, that's bad value and I'm just not playing. And you have to be willing to say that even though at Belmont I had two horses that I felt could be really good today, I just didn't play them at all. Because at the end of the day, I didn't feel they presented value at sub-even money. I just didn't feel it was worth the risk. And so I ended up not playing either of them. Now, it lucked out today because neither one of them won. But you have to be willing to pass the race. And that's something that I typically don't do well, because I convince myself if it's close that I should play it. And what I liked about this strategy was that I had to write down the numbers I was willing to accept on those overlaid contenders, and on those favorites. It's just even money. But I had to really stick to my guns on those, and I wasn't allowed to drop below. And that forced me to sit out a lot of races where I didn't feel I was getting value. But like today, even though Wisconsin won and I had the winner, that's the horse that I spend too much money on. And for every Wisconsin, there's two of the horses at Belmont that didn't fire. And when that happens, you lose money. And so you have to make sure that you rigidly stick to what do you think is fair odds, and within a point or two, because we know that there's obviously odds drop at the gate when they open up. But like within a point or two, are you willing to take that price? And I think if you do that, you can be really successful with this strategy. So this was probably the wrong strategy to start off with, because we got off to a really hot start. This looks really good on paper and is definitely one that I'm going to want to use here moving forward. So I would highly recommend this strategy in the win pools. If you happen to use this strategy, please let me know. Comment down below. Reach out to us on Facebook. Reach out to us on Twitter, and let us know that how you're using this strategy and if it's working out for you. And again, if you have any other strategies that you'd like to see us use, please reach out to us there. In the meantime, we do have our next strategy coming up, and that's going to be what I'm calling the Pick 3 33 wheel. So we'll be looking at that here over the next couple of experiment days, trying to put together some Pick 3s. So we'll try and mix it up. After this, I hope to do more of a vertical strategy, so that we can mix and match for all bet types. But that wraps up the Winogram. I may come back and drop an update into the future, since I will continue to use this one, just to say how it's working over sort of a longer term. But for right now, I'm loving where it's at, and I'm definitely going to keep using it. And then we'll start looking at some Pick 3 strategies here in the next installment of this video series. Thank you so much for your continued support of T3 Handicapping. Don't forget to like and follow us and subscribe and do all that stuff on all of our social channels, and be a part of the conversation. Help brainstorm ideas with us of what things we should look at in future installments of this, to make sure that we can make everybody better bettors. Thank you so much, and as always, cash those tickets.